Welcome to day 36 of reading every single day for the rest of my life for 30 minutes. Today we got The Alien Perspective by David Whitehouse. We're at page 112, middle of 112. And I'm going to get 30 minutes started now. Alright, here we go. Boom. However, Frank Drake is less worried. As I thought in 1974, the objections to sending interstellar messages were naive and carried no weight. The argument then, as now, is that humanity has been, and is making, its presence known throughout TV and radio and military radars, which in many cases release most of their radiated power into interstellar space. Science fiction author David Brin has argued that the body ostensibly in charge of drafting policy about sending signals into space, the International Astronomical Union, is being irresponsible. He doesn't want any new transmissions. In a fiat. And there's some pictures here. Pretty cool, pretty cool. The Earth, the only place in the universe known to have life. Damn, that's our home. A view of nearly 10,000 galaxies of the Hubble Ultra Deep Field, taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. Wow, that's actually beautiful. The Adorant, a 35,000, 3,500,000, 40,000 year old carved mammoth tusk found in cave, Blueberry, Germany. Damn. Some other pictures. Serbian-American inventor Nikola Tesla claimed to have made communications with Martians. Pioneer of radio Guglielmo Marconi also believed he had made Martian contact. Some really nice pictures. Frank Drake at the time of Project Asalma. SETI pioneers. The radio telescope, the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, Green Bank, used in Project Asalma. That's cool. Control room. Few have been as influential in the search for aliens as Bernard Oliver, the engineer in technological history. Wow. Awesome. Oh, and here are the pictures. Look. Look at these. So cool. That's on Voyager 1. Yeah, the Voyager disk was placed on the sides of Voyager 1 and 2, which were now in interstellar space. Wow. The Ohio State University radio telescope detected a candidate alien signal. Oh, the WOW signal. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Awesome. A comply of staggering potential consequence, he said. We will soon see a dramatic change of state, one in which Earth civilization may suddenly become many orders of magnitude brighter across the Milky Way, without any of our vaunted deliberative processes have been ever been called into play. There is one partially accepted protocol concerning contact with aliens. Although it is voluntarily and toothless, it is called the Declaration of Principles, concerning activities following the detection of extraterrestrial intelligence. It is a plan for what should be done if scientists detect an alien signal or some kind of celestial engineering evidence indicative of life and intelligence, such as a probe in our solar system. The plan is mostly about verification, and in the announcement about contact, but it also states, no response to a signal or other evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence should be sent until appropriate international consultations have taken place. I don't think these hopeful words will be followed, and not all scientists think they should. Michael McCord, a former U.S. diplomat who was chairman of the Transmissions from Earth Working Group, a division of the International Astronomical Union's Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence study group established in 2001, almost resigned on several occasions because of the lack of debate about the issue. He believes it is being limited to a narrow, unrepresentative group of scientists with the same attitudes of prejudices, of guidelines, optimism about aliens. He wants the group to be expanded and the topic more widely debated, But this isn't happening. Far from it. No one has the authority to stop anyone with the suitable equipment transmitting signals from Earth, or even to demand a discussion beforehand. Should we just let our culture be sent into space by groups of people who think they know what's best for us all? When a draft of the protocol was being discussed, the section about deliberate transmissions was deleted, which resulted in resignations from the International Astronomical Union Committee and protest and recriminations from both sides. The familiar arguments were wielded about our radio and TV leakage have already revealed our presence and that the greater distances involved will protect us. Both of these assumptions are untrue, as we shall see. In any case, any unofficial suggestions will be ignored, should contact be made. Most astronomers have never heard of them. To raise the profile of the debate, if not its tone, opponents to the sending of deliberate signals issued an open letter in 2015. One of its signatories was John Gertz, who said that, as far as he was concerned, such signals were equivalent to unauthorized diplomacy. Scientist Doug Vaycock, clearly frustrated by the fact that we have never found any evidence of aliens, was in favor of signals, and he promptly left his position at the SETI Institute of California to found Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, METI, International, to promote his desire for messaging. If I had my way, he said, when Frank Drake did his first SETI search in 1960, he would have begun transmitting, and if he had, we would be looking for responses from civilizations out to a distance of 30 light years by now. One thing is clear from our searches for extraterrestrials. There is nobody transmitting strong interstellar beacons in our local vicinity. If they are out there, they are keeping quiet, prompting the realization that they might know something we don't. Despite what science fiction shows us, interstellar travel will be far from easy. If it is really possible at all, Star Trek and Star Wars would not be the same if it took years or decades to travel from star to star. Traveling at the speed of light, it would take 100,000 years to traverse the Milky Way, and we have only the vaguest ideas about faster than light travel, which is probably practically impossible, even if theoretically possible in some extreme circumstances. We and the aliens will have to make do with the lower light travel, and there are many possibilities. Nuclear fusion power could propel a starship, but probably only about 10 cents of light speed. This is not clearly fast enough for Star Trek, but a capability that could colonize the galaxy given enough time. Perhaps after several long-duration star hops out into the galaxy, interstellar travelers would forget where they came from, like the citizens of the Galactic Empire in Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy, who debate about the discredited theory that the Earth might have been the home world of humans. We are young, a 100-year-old technological civilization living in a 10 billion-year-old galaxy. To older civilizations, we might be a minor phenomenon, perhaps not even properly intelligent by their estimation. Only those civilizations close to our own technological level may find us interesting. We don't know. Perhaps they or older cultures might have aliens like us alone, and allow us and others to develop in our own way. One can think of many such possibilities and scenarios, but they all remain assumptions, and we have no idea if they are reasonable or not. Charles Fort, the American writer and researcher who specialized in strange phenomena, wondered if we would be interesting enough. Would we, if we would, educate and sophisticate pigs, geese, cattle? Would we establish diplomatic relations with the hen that is satisfied with its sense of achievement? Aliens could have to become brutal to survive and not wise and peaceful as many naively wish. The Australian astronomer Reynold Bracewell warned that other species could place an emphasis on cunning and weaponry, as we often do, and that alien ship dispatched our way would be likely to be armed. Indeed, evolution on Earth is, as they say, red in tooth and claw. It is conceivable that aliens we contact will also have to fight their way up their evolutionary ladder and may possibly be every bit as nasty as we can be, or worse. Imagine an extremely adaptable, extremely aggressive super predator with superior technology that is able to traverse interstellar space and destroy worlds. Visit that alien spacecraft at a popular subject in the media. Visits from alien spacecraft are a popular subject in the media. Steven Spielberg's films Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. the Extraterrestrial portrayed aliens as enigmatic and friendly, inspiring even. E.T. was harmless. Films such as Independence Day show alien visitors as absolutely ruthless. A 1951 film, The Day of the Earth Stood Still, featured a sinister humanoid alien sent toward humanity about its warlike tendencies. The Thing from Another World, also from 1951, depicted a creature who wanted to wipe out us humans and replace us with its offspring. But in 1992, Frank Drake wrote that we should not fear contact with aliens. Unlike the fate of primitive civilizations, the Earth that were overwhelmed by more advanced societies, humanity could not be harmed because the aliens would be too far away. SETI pioneer Bernard Oliver said interstellar travel was impossible, and so there was no reason to remain quiet. However, Carl Sagan has written that radio and television leakages from a newly emerging technical society such as ourselves could induce a rapid response by nearby aliens who would want to reach us. If interstellar space flight by the advanced technical civilizations is commonplace, we may expect an emissary. Perhaps in the next several hundred years, a report to the U.S. Congress on the contact with extraterrestrial said the receiving civilization might be capable of interstellar flight and dispatch emissaries for further investigation. With no foreknowledge of their character, we might be aiding in our own doom. Recent calculations indicate that any human transmissions into space will fade far more quickly than we thought, so we may be safe after all. Contact would start with a mysterious object emerging from the dark heading towards us. Such an object was detected on 19th October 2017 by the Pan-STARRS 1 Sky Survey Telescope, situated high on extinct volcanic Hawaiian Island. Emissary. An observatory on an extinct volcanic Hawaiian island, above a third of the Earth's turbulent atmosphere, is an ideal place to scan the sky. The object was also seen in the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope on nearby Mauna Kea. Its swift motion stood out from the other objects. Comets, asteroids, variable stars. It was immediately obvious that the object was unique, traveling too fast to be part of the Sun's family. It was a visitor from beyond. It came from deep space, and nothing could prevent it from returning. It was the first interstellar visitor ever detected. It came from our solar system, traveling at great speed, passing through the orbits of the giant planets, unnoticed as it fell inward. Its surface was tarnished and dulled by hundreds of millions of years of exposure to cosmic rays as it traversed the vastness of interstellar space. Yet something could still be made out, some things on its side, emblems of some sort. Perhaps its wrinkled micro-thin sail moved slowly when tugged, gently by one of its few remaining tethers. The craft was tumbling, chaotically, inert for eons. Perhaps it carried a dead cargo. It gathered speed as it got closer to the yellow dwarf star it was rounding. It would not stay in the planetary system for long. Excitedly, observers from all over the world turned toward it. The so-called Very Large Telescope in the Atacama Desert of the northern Chile. The Gemini South Telescope, also in Chile, and the Keck 2, also in Mauna Kea, took detail. Soon the Hubble Space Telescope and the Spitzer Space Telescope were on its trail. Astronomers looked through previous observations to see if it had been seen before its discovery. It was obvious it was small and not very luminous. Spectra obtained on 25th October showed it to be reddish on hue, resembling the spent nucleus of a comet. Later that day, William Herschel Telescope in the Canary Islands detected no details in its spectrum. It seemed to be similar to our asteroids or comets, albeit from far stars, our solar system, but then astronomers noticed something peculiar about how the object was dramatically changing in brightness. It was tumbling in space, and from the way its brightness fluctuated, it was not roughly spherical, as was to be expected, but elongated like a giant cigar with a length to width ratio of 1 to 5 or maybe greater. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory issued a news report saying it was 400 meters long and 10 times longer than it was wide. Was it a spaceship? The internet went wild, and the object deviated slightly from its predicted trajectory. Was it changing course? The Green Bank Radio Telescope in West Virginia looked at it for 6 hours to see if it had any radio emissions that indicated it could be artificial. Nothing was heard. One astronomer said if there had been a cell phone on its surface, they would have picked it up. Oumuamua, as it was called, as Hawaiian for the arrival of the first distant traveler, it caused a sensation. It rounded the sun on the 9th of September 2019, and on the outward leg of its journey, it passed beyond the orbit of Earth on 14th October at a distance of 24.2 million kilometers. It reached the orbit of Mars on November 1st, later passing the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn, slowing down as it climbed out of the sun's gravity and returning to the same speed as it had before its approach to our solar system. It is now heading towards the constellation of Pegasus, having swung 66 degrees from the direction of its approach. Let me get some water. Let's continue. I'm a little tired. Was this object a space from the stars? The first extraterrestrial emissary? Only a few think this is a possibility. The evidence for it being a spaceship is slim, to say the least. Is it a natural object? But is it one that focused minds? If a chunk of rock can travel between the stars, then why not a spaceship? And what is so special about today? It's more likely to have occurred in the past, many times. Sometimes in the next few decades, we will transform the exploration of our solar system by using small multitasking probes directed by artificial intelligence. We will send swarms of them to fly and crawl over the surface of Mars, to drift through the clouds of Saturn's major moon Titan and swim in its hydrocarbon seas. They will descend the fissures of Saturn's other moon Enceladus and cracks in its icy shell, allowing access to its subsurface ocean of warm water and the enticing prospect of life. They will also move out into the asteroid belt, visiting, surveying and cataloging these various chunks of rock, seeking out those with exceptional metals, ice, and minerals content for further study and possible mining. One of those probes might find it. Might this one be the colonizing wave of self-replicating probes that move through the galaxy? Might this be one of the colonizing wave of self-replicating probes that move through the galaxy? They've been called the Newman probes, after the American physicist John von Neumann, who in 1948 described a self-replicating machine. Once the daughter probe is built from raw materials found in solar system asteroid belt, it can go off and build more probes and so on. 20 years later, astronomer Ronald Bracewell envisaged swarms of such probes, gathering information and compiling a galactic database. Alternatively, science fiction writers have imagined probes designed to eliminate any intelligent life that they find. Perhaps its alien nature will be apparent immediately, its unnatural shape or radiation signature. What is its purpose, and is it still functioning? Perhaps its builders sent it to explore, along with many others, to endure the millions of years traversing between the stars. Were they scattered among the stars like dandelion seeds, or targeted at our own solar system? Perhaps it was sent by a civilization living in a neighborhood star system specifically towards us, because they were aware of our leakage and our deliberate transmissions. To observe and report on time, perhaps it was just much further away in space and time. Could the ancestors of this artifact have set sail into the galaxy hundreds of millions of years ago, moving between planetary systems using the resources it might find out there to build copies of itself to stay behind or undertake further expansions across the galaxy? Sorry, I was just reading a long time right there. That was funny. The math of science and Enterprise is straightforward yet staggering in its implication. It suggests that a colonizing wavefront can spread across the galaxy within 700,000 years. So aliens, robotic or biological, have plenty of time to colonize our galaxy. So where are they? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where the aliens are, bro. If the above line of reasoning is correct, then alien probes should be everywhere. So is there one here somewhere in our solar system? How would we know? It has been suggested that a good place to hide would be the asteroid belt, as there are a great many objects among which to mingle, as well as resources which to build copies. For monitoring the Earth, a solar orbit would be better, closer and not easily detectable. Another good strategy would be positioning itself at a so-called Lagrange gravitational balance point, at which it's impossible to maintain a surveillance position with little expenditure of energy. There are several of these points in relation to the Earth. We have placed many space observatories in these regions, and they haven't bumped into any alien probes. We've looked. Is it just an artifact, something that came here and died, failed in another manner, or was discarded? Years after its discovery by our AI probe, we would send a more capable probe, or more likely a screwed mission, to conduct a delicate task of space archaeology. What tales, I wonder, could a dead alien probe tell? Would it contain the alien equivalent to our Voyager Golden Disk? Our brief summer of humanity? Would it house something grander? An encyclopedia of our history of an alien race? Encyclopedia. Why can't I say that? An encyclopedia, or a history of an alien race? Would we awaken an avatar to traverse with? Or would we begin the task or picking apart inert alien tech? Perhaps these sentinels are closer to us than the asteroid belt. In his famous story of 1951, Sentinel of Eternity, the science fiction writer author Arthur C. Clarke envisaged I don't know how to say that, envisaged an object left on the moon. It caught the eye of an astronaut undertaking a tractor survey, something glinting from atop a mountain, something that should not be there. This sentinel was then used as the starting point for the 1968 novel and film 2001: A Space Odyssey. The narrator of the story speculates that the tetrahedral structure, made of a polished material, may belong to a technology that lies beyond our horizons. In Clarke's story, which despite being initially unsuccessful, went on to transform his career, the Sentinel had been transmitting the information for millions of years, presumably reporting on the development of life on Earth and especially the rise of humans. I wonder what it is said when it is detected the first artificial radio waves and the first intense flash of gamma rays indicating we have acquired the ability to build atomic weapons. The arrival of humans on the moon and its own discovery. We have very detailed maps of the moon that we can easily detect artifacts on its surface. Though all of them have been left by humans, and all the exquisite detail relayed back by the probes, such as the American Lunar Renaissance Orbiter and Japan's Kayaku, we have found nothing outerward, no structures, cities, or markings. If there is a Sentinel of Eternity on the moon, we have yet to find it. But is this the same true for Mars? But is the same true of Mars? The ideas around astroarchaeology are fascinating, but many who should take a serious view of it are reticent to do so because the subject has a poor reputation. I am thinking about the pyramids of Elysium on Mars. In 1972, the Mariner 9 spacecraft in orbit of Mars saw features of the planet of Elysium that resembled pyramids, more provocatively. A few years later, one of the Viking orbiters looked at a brute in the region known as do they count those? I'm checking the pages, guys. One second. Um, Staring up at the sky, was this a monument left by some long extinct civilization? Was Percival Lowell right after all about the life on Mars? When the Mars Global Surveyor looked again at the Cydonia region in 1998, the face was gone and was nothing more than a jumble of rocks and ridges. As humans, we are programmed to see faces and patterns. From the moment of our birth, there are still some enthusiasts who cling to the idea that there is a face on Mars. Something with images that they saw show evidence of buildings and cities on the planet, but they are diluting themselves. Nothing less. Nonetheless, the observations made by the Mars Global Surveyor in that particular region of Cydonia was the first time NASA programmed a planetary probe to search for the possible evidence of alien civilization. In 1963, Carl Sagan suggested that extraterrestrial civilizations would visit planets with intelligent life every 10,000 years, and those with advanced civilizations every 1,000 years. Consequently, he argued there is a possibility that the Earth was visited at least once in the past. Is there any evidence for this? Scientists, he said, should examine ancient myths and legends for any evidence of contact, while being aware of the problems of interpreting another civilization from another time. He talked about a plausible contact myth in some of the stories surrounding the origins of the Sumerian civilization in the 4th millennium BC. Archaeologists should be aware of the possibility that they might uncover extraterrestrial artifacts. This has been called paleocontact. Swiss author Erich von Däniken was claimed that there have been extraterrestrial visitors to Earth. In this very successful book, Chariots of the Gods, published in 1968, he said we should take stories about gods who come from on high and walked the earth at face value. None of it stands up to face scrutiny. But why are these ideas so popular? Von Däniken's latest book was published in 2021. Others have suggested that alien visitors influenced our past by giving us knowledge that accelerated our development. I can't help but think that such theories reflect a low opinion of human abilities. We are already interstellar species. We have sent several objects out of our solar system. Perhaps they will be found by someone or something else. Pioneer 10 and 11 are carrying a graphic message in the event an intelligent life form may capture either spacecraft on its journey. Engraved on a gold anodized aluminum plaque, the message features a drawing of a man and a woman, a diagram of our solar system, and a map depicting our galactic position with reference to objects known as pulsars. The man has his hand raised in a friendly, welcoming gesture. Voyager 1 and 2 contain a much more sophisticated message containing on the golden discs were mentioned earlier. They both have one of their sides that contains 115 images as well as the sounds, languages, and music of Earth. There is the Taj Mahal in Sydney Opera House, DNA trees in the Great Wall of China, in Great Barrier Reef. There is Akkadian, a language spoken in Sumer, 6,000 years ago, in Wu, a modern Chinese dialect. There is Aboriginal music, the music of the first humans who had enough to eat. Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven are there. So is Chuck Berry. There is also the sound of the wind and the rain, lightning, a mother singing a lullaby to her child, laughter, and a man and a woman kissing. There is also a written message from the U.S. President Jimmy Carter, which reads, "This is a president from a small, distant world. This is a present from a small, distant world, a token of our sounds, our science, our images, our music, our thoughts, and our feelings. We are attempting to survive our time so we may live into yours. We hope someday, having solved the problems we face, to join in a community of galactic civilizations." That makes me want to cry a little bit. Like, imagine if one actually exists out there, a galactic community of civilizations. Like how do you even comprehend that? This record represents our hope and our determination, and our goal in a vast and awesome universe. In February 1990, Voyager 1's cameras were tuned in on the last series of photos, a family portrait, showing 7 of the solar system's 9 known planets in an unprecedented mosaic. Voyager's 1's cameras had been inactive since it left Saturn 10 years previously. Voyager 1 was 6 billion kilometers distant, so only Jupiter showed us a discernible disk. Our Earth is just a point of light, high above the plane of the planets. Voyager has a unique view from the outside. One scientist said that the pictures symbolized our planet in the cosmos. Then he looked away rather sadly. These will be Voyager's last pictures. We will lose contact with Voyager 1 and 2 as they begin their drift among the stars. Eons hence, long after the Earth has been destroyed by our dying sun, and perhaps long after man is extinct, those whispers in Earth will still be floating among the stars. They will be our last mark on the cosmos. The Voyager crafts and their messages could be what we are judged by. In Arthur C. Clarke's novel Rendezvous with Roma, a giant alien spacecraft passes through our solar system. Astronauts land on it and explore its interior, but it goes on its way without any communication. Modern survey telescopes can scan the sky several times a night without looking for things that change and move. Perhaps sometime, tonight possibly, something will be seen that on a second viewing seems out of the ordinary. Oh, looks like 30 minutes is up. And we're at page 129. Let's go. See you guys day 37. Let's go.